CinemaYAK here with Dual Podcast. We have Vicky, Cristina, Barcelona by Woody Allen.
And Eat, Pray, Love. It's directed by Ryan Murphy.
It's written by Elizabeth Gilbert.
I never read Eat, Pray, Love, and I almost feel like I'm at a disadvantage because of that.
I don't know if you need to read the book to see Eat, Pray, Love.
You know, I really wish I had book to pull on, because anytime you got a Hollywood superstar who attaches himself to some sort of super popular literary success, I mean, I'm skeptical of the movie that results from that.
But you can always rely on a big star to do a good job because, well, they're a star for a reason.
Well, you can always rely on a big star to bring in lots of money on opening weekend. Exotic. Javier Bardem.
He is an attractive man. Super sexy. I mean, not like Brad Pitt or Johnny Depp or George Clooney. He is so interesting and unique that his face is a face that you would find on a totem pole because it's so specific. It's so, there's something really interesting about it. It's so manly and masculine.
He's got a big face. He's got those sleepy Latin lover eyelids.
When he speaks his accent, it's like poetry. Art.
Places like Barcelona just seem saturated in sort of a culture that survives through art.
Vicky's going to Barcelona because she's studying the art. And she brings along her friend, Cristina. She is an actress and a writer and a director, and she's very creative and artistic, but she doesn't know really how to express herself. So while she's in Barcelona, she meets two people, Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz. They're artists. She finds a confidence through her art, through her expression, through Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem's characters. What she wanted to find was a different kind of love. And then it doesn't work for her in the end. Threesomes don't usually. So she just takes what she did learn, which was confidence and a way of expression, I think. Sensual.
Woody Allen's trying to say that this kind of dynamic between Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz, while it may seem exotic, it's just as frightening, it's just as deadly, it's just as dangerous. Vicky, who's stuck in the middle, says, this is crazy, this isn't love. Woody Allen's saying, you know, you can seek out a love in a different form, but even that kind of love is going to be just as incomprehensible and difficult to deal with as what you're finding elsewhere. Culture.
And the American dream is get married, have kids, build a white fence, live a happy life.
So you have Liz from Eat, Pray, Love, and then you have Vicky and Cristina from Vicky, Cristina, Barcelona. All three of these characters are sort of disillusioned, and they're definitely fed up with the culture that America has given them, with the lifestyle that America has promised them. Really, in order to find a real culture that they can respond to, they have to go out of the country.
But when you go to another country, they're always asking you, are you married? Journey. Instead of having a ritual every single day of doing the same exact thing, which I think is part of what her journey was. Like, how do I break out of my routine?
There's a scene where this furry little Italian guy is in a barber shop, and he basically decides he's going to point out what's wrong with Americans. And, I mean, you can't really argue with what he says. It's the truth, you know. We work 6-7 days a week, or we work 5 days a week, and we come home exhausted, get into our pajamas, and sit in front of the TV. In doing so, there's no lust for life.
But by the time she gets to Bali, really wild romantic relationship on the island, and she's like head over heels in love. She questions the journey because the point was to get away for a year without being with a man, without being in a relationship, trying to find what you want, your inner peace, and then she ends up with this guy.
Is it arguable about whether or not this journey actually led her to just another man? You can't really judge her at the end for going with him, because, I mean, the movie paints him to be this really kind of amazingly wonderful guy. India.
Pretty lovely.
Hinduism. She converted to Hinduism. It's a very, very old religion with a lot of old traditions. She meets the Indian girl. She says that her life is over at the age of 17 because she's been pledged to marry this other guy in the area. We get to see the wedding ceremony, and this girl is so upset. She's confined by ideas of marriage and stuff, even in India. And yet, Julia Roberts, the American, comes into this picture, and she finds solace, she seems to find closure, and all of these wonderful perspectives. But within India, the same religion that provides freedom for Julia Roberts is the same religion that suppresses the young girl who doesn't want to get married.
food.
You need spaghetti.
The point they make about eating is to kind of let yourself go. You know, in America, she's always counting her calories and worried about what she's eating, and every day it's the same routine. She eats the same thing, salads for lunch, this for dinner.
You need spaghetti.
Enjoy the food.
You need spaghetti.
People love to eat, and people love to drink wine, and they sit at the dinner table and they eat and drink and eat and drink.
You need spaghetti.
Relax. Smoke stogies, drink your wine, eat your spaghetti.
Eat food in Rome and pray in India and fall in love in Bali. Lost. Well, the interesting link is that in both movies you have American women are looking for something else in life, and they go to this exotic place on the other end of the world, and ultimately they find...
Searching. You need to be in a different country.
It's a woman's journey.
You go to a country with Javier Bardem, you're going to find what you're looking for, I think.
Vicky Cristina, Scarlett's always saying, you know, I don't know what I want, but I know what I don't want. Liz decided that she needed to go and find herself and go on this year-long journey, this extravagant trip from Rome to India to Bali. And that's great that that worked out. And I mean, let's be honest, who wouldn't be somewhat overwhelmed by such an extravagant trip? That's great, but what about those of us who need that spiritual journey, who need to rediscover themselves, but can't necessarily afford an extended years-long vacation across 3 exotic countries?
I think the point is, if you're really in the search for something, go find it. Go do it. I think if you need to do it, you're just going to do it, and it'll find its way to work out.
And maybe it's that false idea that a person needs in order to make that leap outside of whatever rut they're stuck in.
Romantic. You need to be in a different country.
Christina goes to find love. The kind of love that exists in Barcelona, that kind of passionate, fiery relationship in Javier Bardem. The funny thing about Woody Allen is that he's always talking about writers and intellectuals and culture, and it's charming, I have to say. Intellectual dilemmas.
Lay out a map for your life. She gets married when she's in her 20s, and then when she's in her 30s, she starts decorating, and then by the time you're 40, you need something more and you're looking for something.
The whole movie sort of reads like a warning. Dive into a early marriage or an early relationship without considering the consequences of being with someone that is not matched for you, not your equal, not somebody that you ultimately want to share your life with.
It's still not what you want.
And that's the dilemma that sort of kickstarts the movie. She couldn't find true fulfillment until she had some good food, prayer. Javier Bardem. Intellectual dilemmas. Well, she meets Richard Jenkins. Poor Richard Jenkins, you know, an actor that I couldn't admire more than anyone. I mean, every time I see him in a movie, I just perk up. In this movie, I'll be damned if he isn't forced to deliver a horrible soliloquy about this tragedy in his past.
The reason why they have this monologue in the movie is to show that after someone deals with something so tragic, how do you come back from it? He felt he needed to change in his life, you know, so he goes to India to find how to deal with the inner voice inside him that's making him feel guilty about his life. And I think what was so moving about the piece is it's hard to share with strangers your past, especially when you're trying to work through it.
For me, I just felt like the character was broadly written from the beginning. This is certainly somebody who doesn't have some dark thing hiding in their past that we're going to hear revealed in a monologue here shortly soon enough. It seemed a little obvious. Intellectual dilemmas. Well, in Vicky Cristina, it seems like Woody Allen's setting up Rebecca Hall and Scarlett Johansson as 2 completely separate parts of the brain. Almost like one brain, but 2 different ways of looking at things. There's the left brain and the right brain.
You are always thinking about which side do I listen to? The rational side or the irrational side? You know, they haven't had a chance to figure out who they are yet or what they want from life, what their career should be, who the man is that they should be with, if it's even a man. Location.
Each movie is its own little hymn to these areas. Like Vicky Cristina Barcelona makes it. And then with Eat, Pray, Love, you have the trifecta of Rome, India, and Bali. You know, let these locations that are definitely more interesting than the film actually sink in and resonate with you. You know, you actually get to enjoy the Roman architecture, which is in ruins and is inhabited by the homeless, as we learn, are so appealing, voluptuously green. And that's probably the best thing about the movie.